Welcome to a special edition of CTV News. I'm Bryce Parker, and we're here at the National Harbor. Well, many of you know CTV is a hub for all things Prince George's County, from changes within the government to highlighting local student achievements. We've covered it all, but tonight we'll be highlighting just some of the stories that we've covered this year alone. From the nation's capital to Annapolis, we have covered a wide range of government issues and politics affecting the county. From the state and county budget deficit to familiar faces taking on new leadership positions. CTV's Mariah Jalad shares the challenges faced by the General Assembly, and Katara Jones sits down with the new heads of the County Council.
Move that the Senate of Maryland stand adjourned, sine die.
Without objection, so ordered.
Madam Speaker, I move that the House stand adjourned, sine die.
The final grain of sand has fallen in this General Assembly's hourglass, marking the last bills passed in Annapolis for 2025. The Assembly fulfilled their main duty, passing a balanced budget.
This budget before you does a few things. First, it provides a structurally balanced budget, a miracle, really, considering when we came in, we were $3 billion behind.
The House and Senate ratified a $67 billion spending plan for 2026. That budget is just 1% smaller than this year's, and the portion that the state funds through taxpayer money is $400 million less. Lawmakers say more than 90% of Marylanders will see a tax refund or no change at all, and that tax break will average between $50 and $65.
And I know there was a lot of hard work done on the budget, and I know it could have probably been worse from a tax perspective, but we're still left with a large burden being added.
I'm not quite sure where you got the information that this was the largest tax increase in the state's history, because that's incorrect.
Bills that survived the midnight deadline span numerous political issues, but don't hit on all of Governor Westmore's priorities. He made that clear in a statement, pointing out the Assembly failed to pass his bills to produce more affordable housing or one promoting nuclear energy. Bills that did make it through include reforms to medical parole, a delay to paid family and medical leave, and the crowning of an official state mineral.
Now, this bill designates chromite as our state mineral, Senate Bill 764.
The energy bill package focused on increasing state power generation and decreasing utility bills got most lawmakers' approval.
I believe we've not done enough in the bills we've been passing to bring down the cost of energy and help ratepayers.
Advocates for immigrant protections left the session disappointed after part of a bill was discarded prohibiting agreements between ICE and local police, known as 287Gs.
There's nothing currently in this bill as we're about to vote on that would have anything to do with the 287G program. Is that correct?
Correct.
What the bill did include was protections for sensitive locations like schools and churches. Mariah Jalad, CTV News.
We're committed to pulling the council together and operating differently.
Just this week, the changing of the gavel occurred on the county council, and ascending to the seat of chair is Edward Burrows. He replaces former chair Jolene Ivy. Burrows, who's been on the council since 2022, also served on the County Board of Education. The council's newest vice chair is Crystal Oriatha. She, along with Burrows, say they want to focus on unifying the council and move away from division and mistrust within the body.
I think you can see it on the first day. The leadership of all the committees are diverse when it comes to representation of ideas and the idea of who caucuses with who. Like, we're stripping that away and really focusing on making sure everyone has an equal voice.
One of the biggest issues the council is focused on is the proposed county budget, which is facing a multi-million-dollar deficit. The pair both agree that the county needs to bring in more revenue, but they are also committed in not increasing taxes on residents.
And so when we look at our neighboring jurisdictions, DC with over $20 billion, we look at MoCo with over $7 billion, the difference is interesting. And so we are really focused on bringing industry and entertainment into Prince George's County.
Burrows has his eyes set on potentially bringing data centers to the county.
We're very conscious and sensitive to where these data centers are placed, right? We want to make sure that we do it in partnership with the community. We're not trying to impose anything on the community. But the reality is, Our residents don't want us to increase property taxes, and we don't want to increase property taxes, but we must generate hundreds of millions of dollars of additional revenue very quickly.
With the new roles as chair and vice chair, Burrows and Oriatha are looking forward to working closely with the new county executive and the school board. Katara Jones, CTV News.
CTV News not only covers big elections in the county, but we are the only station that's bringing you exclusive one-on-one interviews with each of those candidates, from the county executive race to the county council District 5 seat. We spoke with each candidate before you headed to the polls.
Innovation transforms the world, turning the status quo upside down. Innovation created a healthcare system that not only improves the lives of veterans, it transforms the lives of healthcare professionals with unique opportunities to work with industry thought leaders while serving our nation's heroes. The Department of Veterans Affairs, where innovation ensures those who served our nation are served by the very best. See how a career at VA can transform your future.
Welcome back. During Black History Month, we took a look back at how education in Prince George's County's past still affects and leaves a lasting impact on the residents today. Our Byron Scott speaks with a county native who helped integrate a local school, and I will introduce you to a school whose roots are connected to slavery's past in the county.
It was in 1963. My first day was an awakening.
It was 62 years ago when then 12-year-old McKinley Hayes entered the 7th grade of what was then Suitland Junior High School. He says he was one of only 2 black students.
So on that first day, I remember vividly, I was called several names. I was called you need to go home, get out of here. And rocks and stones were thrown at me.
Hayes entered the school 11 years after the landmark Brown v. Board of Education Supreme Court ruling. He says his first days at Suitland were tough, but he was determined to make it.
Just said, Mom and Dad, I'm going to give it one more day. And one more day ended up being graduating from Suitland High School and dealing with the situation at junior high.
Hayes says it took months before white students warmed up to him.
It's not that I went through the struggle every day as heavily as I did. And finally, over time, I was accepted. And they said, you know, he's all right.
Hayes was at Suitland High School from 1965 to 1968. He says just his presence had an impact on his fellow students.
That I am just as good and worthy as the person that sits to my left and to my right. That I felt that I made a contribution to the school and to the community.
Hayes attended the University of Maryland Eastern Shore, Bowie State University. He would go on to teach school and eventually became an administrator at Suitland High School.
One of the benefits, which was a difficult benefit, but others will gain from, is that no child or no one will ever have to go through the experiences that I went through. And as an administrator, I would make things better for staff and students as a whole.
Byron Scott, CTV News.
So because of Rosenwald schools, hundreds of thousands of black families in the South, including my own, were able to seek education for the first time. Here in Prince George's County, 27 Rosenwald schools were built during the Jim Crow era. Currently, only 9 of them are still standing. The Ridgely Rosenwald School, located in Capitol Heights, is one of them, serving not only as a living monument of the county's past, but carrying the legacy of the pursuit of education into the future.
We continually have people come here all the time for a visit, and they're able to say, my grandmother went to a Rosenwald school, or my great aunt went to a Rosenwald school, or I knew this about Rosenwald schools. And so like the lasting impact of Rosenwald schools is really still felt today.
The Ridgely Rosenwald School first opened its doors in 1927 on donated land from Lewis and Mary Ridgely, a local black family who owned over 50 acres of farmland in present-day Peppermill Village.
Part of the funds Not even a major part of the funds came from the Rosenwald Fund, but there was also money from the local public school board, and then the community raised funds and did hands-on work in building the property that their children would use for their educational purposes.
First known as Colored School Number 1, Ridgely serviced 3 grade levels teaching children not only educational skills, but also vocational trades that would change the socioeconomic status of their family's future.
Preserving the history of the Ridgely Rosenwald School here in Prince George's County has to do with not just Black education of the past, but the present and the future, because we have to educate students and let them know that their future is built on those people in the past.
Over 5,000 Rosenwald schools will be open throughout the South to provide educational opportunities for Black children. But the impact no one realized at the time was that it would create a platform for racial progress and civil rights leadership.
As the history and the historic natures of the school came out, it was easier to connect with those people who received their educations here at a Rosenwald school. People like John Lewis, Maya Angelou, those people went to a Rosenwald school. That's where they were established in those schools. They had the foundations built at that school. And from there, they were able to soar. And so people can see them and see that education is truly the basis of success.
The Ridgely site would be transitioned into a special education center for Black students in the 1950s. It then later served as a county bus depot until the early 2000s. But as we stand here today, the school has now been restored to its historic condition. The original desks, chalkboards, and even light fixtures still exist as they did almost 100 years ago, preserving just part of the rich history of African American culture in the county.
That's why it's important to have these sites like Ridgely, important to acknowledge and celebrate Black History Month, important to have our annual Juneteenth festival. Like, we do all of those things, not just February, but throughout the year.
In Capitol Heights, I'm Bryce Parker, CTV News. Not only are we looking back, but we are also looking forward at the future of education, and that starts with our students.
I had to make a resource that not only I could use, but also students that are also in the same predicament as me.
This is 12th grader Alina Urinya from Laurel High School. The first generation American and Latina student started her business called Alina Study Hub, a free online tutoring service geared to help other high school students.
I make a lot of online videos with lessons from things such as AP Psychology or AP World. I also offer SAT preps as like a top percentile score.
Alina is truly a one-of-a-kind scholar. She not only has a stellar 4.5 GPA, she also scored a 1490 on the SAT, all while running her own business.
And if you're new here, hi, my name is Alina, and get ready and buckle up for this AP government lock-in from somebody who scored a 5 on their AP exam.
This is the kind of videos you will find on Alina's Instagram account called studytips_Alina. The 17-year-old has nearly 400 followers, and on her website, she has 300 active users. But if you ask Alina, it's not about the engagement numbers, it's about helping her peers.
I feel like knowing that I was able to do it on my own, I feel like more people could be able to do this. Like, some people think that they don't have the resources that they need, or they feel like they can't ask for help. And I know I was one of those persons. I'm really scared to ask for help sometimes, but knowing that there are ways you can do it on your own and pull through and get good results.
So what's next for the graduating senior? Well, she plans to head to the University of Maryland at College Park to study business management. Katara Jones, CTV News.
All right, everybody, I hope you're ready because it's finally time for your Tuesday sports page. We begin with some high school wrestling news.
Well, I was walking down the hallway and I saw a flyer and I was just like, that could be cool. And I just started wrestling.
And the rest was history for Potomac High School wrestler Camille Johnson. As fast forward just 3 years later, the junior is now one of the best wrestlers in the state. In just 3 years, Johnson has been a Blair Girls finalist, a champion at the Women's Clash at the Creek Tournament, and was the first and only female wrestler to become an All-American for the Wolverines. But although the Lady Wolverine accomplished as much as she did, there were some lows that came with the highs as well.
There was matches I could have won. There was matches that I could have won if I had done some things differently. There was matches that I could have won if I had just, been maybe a different color. But you can only learn from it, right? You should take your losses and you should win. Like, you can't really learn from winning. You learn more from losing. So you should take your losses and be like, oh, this is how I learned from it.
Now, a person that has played a big role in Johnson's development is her head coach, Deron Celestin. Celestin had been Johnson's head coach since she began wrestling in the 9th grade, and he told me whether or not he thought his mentee would be as special as she's been.
Camille is the second girl that I've actually coached. The first girl was probably equally as tough, but I saw a greater potential in Camille with how she worked with the other team members, 99% other than herself, male. When she first stepped on the mat, the way she handled herself wrestling both boys and girls, I just knew at that point it was something different.
Possibly the biggest milestone Johnson achieved was that she became the school's first black female regional champion last season, and she reflected on the match that put her name in the history books.
I almost got pinned in the first period. I almost got cradled, and then it wasn't even really like I have to be a regional champion. It was a situation I felt like I have to win this because I should, and I'm just not about to let this cradle, have me lose. I should be winning this match. Not even just a tournament, not even just to become like a regional champion, but I know this is the match that I should win. So I'm just like, I can't get cradled, so I kicked out the cradle, took a shot, worked on top, and then I ended up getting the cradle.
With Johnson going into her senior year soon, her high school career is coming to a close, and she touched on the type of impact she wants to make sure she leaves behind.
I want to be remembered as a person who set the standard on and off the mat.
And you're watching a special edition of CTV News. I'm Bryce Parker. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Welcome to Extra Butter, Please. I'm your host, Sydney Jackson. We kick up. What happened? Where are the lights? Prince George's County Community Television is at risk of being defunded. Hard-hitting local news and creative content will cease to exist. Contact your county council member at 301-952-3700 and tell them to continue funding PGCTV. Prince George's County depends on it.
Today marks President Donald Trump's 99th day in office, and since then, he has held true to a lot of his campaign promises, with sweeping immigration reform to downsizing the federal government. And as the world adjusts to the Trump administration's global tariffs, local businesses brace for impact.
For more than 10 years, Denizens Brewery has been producing and serving their own beer. But thanks to tariffs imposed by the president on countries that produce things like this can, prices could be bubbling over.
One of the #1 ways to kill a business is to create chaos and uncertainty.
Denizens Brewery produces and distributes hundreds of thousands of cans of beer every year.
Beer's always been one of those commodities, honestly, that has been affordable for everyday people, right?
But that could all change very soon, with 25% tariffs on imported aluminum and 20% tariffs on other things like vital ingredients, all going into effect this week.
At the end of the day, we're going to pay it, but the consumers are going to have to pay it.
If we do all this work to make this pricing so the consumer can afford the beer, and then all of a sudden 10%, 25%, 200% of these tariffs of whatever, it's going to make the actual cost of the beer to the consumer astronomical.
Small businesses like Denizens can't purchase at the level of large corporations, so they can't drive costs down. Businesses like these will be the most affected.
I mean, the worst case scenario is you're going to see a lot of small businesses closing. It's just, you can't, this is self-inflicted harm that is happening to our economy. It didn't have to go this way.
And avoiding the tariffs isn't as easy as just buying domestically.
We're using a company called BevSource that's providing us with ball cans it's a US company. However, aluminum can be sourced from different places globally.
Specialty malts right here, like Carahel, these are all coming from Bamberg, Germany. These are grains that we can't get in the United States.
European Union, they're very tough, very, very tough traders.
With the tariffs just being announced a few days ago, Denizens is still not certain to what degree they'll be impacted.
I am imploring the elected officials that are making these policies and even the non-elected officials that are making these policies to really think about the impact that they're doing on Main Street right now.
In Riverdale, Mariah Jalad, CTV News.
She's been here every day.
Yeah, I can't help it.
I know.
It's like once in a lifetime.
I know.
A retail tradition spanning 3 generations is coming to an end. For now, Linen World in Oxon Hill is closing its doors after 37 years of operation.
Unfortunately, we're not able to continue operating, but it has been a joy to serve all these customers over the years.
Jason tells us that many of their items contain products imported from China. And with the Trump administration's recent tariffs, it's made it impossible to continue to operate.
It's not possible for us to raise our prices either by 34% or 85%. It would just put a bad taste in my mouth and put a bad taste in the customer's mouth.
And the Gaysters refuse to turn their back on what made Linen World a cornerstone of the community.
We've always strived to provide quality and value for our customers. And we can't provide value and quality when the prices are not affordable.
Since Linen World announced it was closing its doors last week, customers have flooded the store, sharing words of encouragement, stories, and buying up merchandise, supporting the beloved business that has supported them for the last 4 decades.
I'm touched by all the support through the community and by all the people coming in and telling us it's their favorite store and they're going to miss us and they're sad that we're leaving. And what we've done really well is help customers on a one-on-one level and give them the kind of attention and service that they want and need when it comes to decorating their homes.
So Jason tells us that the last day of operation for Linen World will either be April 26th or whenever merchandise runs out. But as you can see from these empty shelves, this community has been wrapping their arms around this family-owned business, making sure that they feel their love and support in their final days of operation. In Oxon Hill, I'm Bryce Parker, CTV News.
It's a place that makes home improvement easier. Community Forklift is a nonprofit that collects donations of new and gently used building materials and makes them available to the community at a low cost.
We have everything from lumber and plumbing supplies to appliances, kitchen cabinets. We also sell furniture and housewares as well.
This year, the nonprofit celebrates its 20th anniversary and plans to celebrate with monthly events all year long.
Today we're running this seed giveaway and plant/seedling swap. It's a really fun way to celebrate the garden pop-up that we're doing this weekend with full of gardening supplies, things to do. So this feels like a nice entree into the weekend.
Community Forklift continues to keep its lights on even during tough economic times.
We've been lucky in that we have a really wonderful and supportive community here in Prince George's County. We have very loyal customers and tremendous material and financial donors who help us out. Since everything here is surplus and salvage, tariffs don't come into play for Community Forklift.
With 20 years under its belt, the beloved hub for home improvement enthusiasts is looking ahead to 20 more years.
Looking to expand and see what else we can do in the way of workforce training. Ultimately, I'd love for us someday to become a one-stop shop for all things that people need to get rid of.
And don't change that channel. The special edition of CTV News will be right back.
Hi, my name is DeAndre Vidal, and I'm a 2-time Emmy-winning assistant editor and a former CTV intern. CTV is perfectly positioned to empower Prince Georgians to be the leaders in local news and entertainment for Prince George's County and beyond. The county budget for the future needs to include CTV because CTV is an essential community resource for the future.
From a cold case that a daughter struggles to resolve to the celebration of 100 years of life, Sierra Jackson shares a daughter's story of hope, and Katara Jones shines a light on a local history maker.
Nobody said anything. To this day, nobody has said anything.
In 2009, Willie Jones was killed right here in his own home. Today, his daughter is still calling for justice nearly 20 years later.
It all started a February morning when Laverne Jones couldn't reach her father by phone.
So I said, let me just leave here and go over here to check on him.
What came next was every daughter's worst nightmare.
I pushed the door open and went in. I saw the light in the living room. So as I walked in the door, I said, Dad. And usually he'll say, hey, or yay, or whatever. He didn't say anything. Again, I didn't see any blood. So when I pushed the door open again, I saw him laying on the bed on his back. And before I saw the blood, I saw a sheet. The sheet was from waist up. And before I even saw the blood, like I said, the carpet was multicolored, so you really couldn't see it. When I saw that the sheet was laying on him, it was like he was swimming in a pool of blood. It was like a lot of blood. It was like drippings and absorbing of blood. The blood was just everywhere. I couldn't believe it. I left out the room, ran out the door, passed out in the yard.
Laverne says till this day, her father's case is unsolved and feels there was negligence from the detective involved since day one.
I remember the call came in to Detective Rodriguez, and I remember him saying verbatim, this was the night of his wedding anniversary, and he had to leave his house to come here. Why would you say that? My father was just heinously murdered, but this is your anniversary, this is your job.
Willie's good friend and pastor, Reverend Dr. George A. Fitzgerald, says this death was shocking as they knew each other for decades.
He wasn't a violent person. You know, we worked together, I know a good 25 years, you know, he and I, and we never had an argument. You know, he was just a fun, loving guy who loved his family. It just breaks my heart even to talk about him because he's that type of guy, you know, who loved people, would do anything for you that he could.
Now, as the anniversary of his death is nearing, Laverne still has hope that someone will come forward with what happened to Willie Jones.
He let his killer in. You know, whoever did it, he knew his killer. And someone around here knows something. It's like I said before, this street is busy. People walking, talking, you know, somebody knows something. All I want is help. I'm not asking for a lot, I just want help. I mean, it's not gonna bring him back, but it might give me some solace one day. I might find peace. I mean, I just don't know. I just need help. Somebody knows something.
Sierra Jackson, CTV News.
For 60 years, Amanda Fagans has been living in Seat Pleasant, but today is her 100th birthday, and family and friends have gathered to honor their beloved centenarian.
I got along with people. I think that is one of the most important things.
This is Amanda Graves Fagans, and today she turned 100. Fagans grew up on a farm in Virginia, growing vegetables and tobacco. But after all these years, she still remembers having to tie tobacco as a child.
And I was the tire. Now, that's something I think is interesting, to be able to tie tobacco on a stick and put it in the barn and it don't fall off. Nothing to it, just do it.
After graduating high school, she moved to Washington, D.C. in 1943 and worked with the U.S. Treasury Department for more than 30 years. She married her high school sweetheart, John Fagans, in 1949, and they were together until he died in 2002.
She is the strong person in the family. She kept my dad going, kept both boys going, and looking out for the friends and the community also.
The Fagans and their 3 sons put down roots in Seat Pleasant back in the 1960s. She spent decades working to better Seat Pleasant and Prince George's County as a whole. Former District 7 County Council member Dorothy Bailey describes Fagans as an active community member in her district.
Well, first of all, Miss Amanda lived in the 7th District, and she was the boss of all of us who lived in the 7th District. If you wanted to get elected to the Prince George's County Council or any other office in the county, you had to run by Amanda Fagans.
The Fagans family says Amanda Fagans is a woman truly dedicated to family and her beloved Seat Pleasant community. Katara Jones, CTV News.
Well, we hope you enjoyed this special edition of CTV News from the beautiful National Harbor right here in Prince George's County. For CTV News team, I'm Bryce Parker. See you again tomorrow. Good night.